Good morning, middle and high schoolers. I am just going to do one lesson today. It's kind of taking a pause from our normal curriculum, but I wanted to talk about gratitude because, of course, it was Thanksgiving. And then next week we're going to be virtual through December. So all the way until January, we'll meet on Zoom instead of in person. So we're sticking to the same calendar though, so we'll still alternate with who's meeting. So high school will meet next week, and then confirmation will meet after, and then the next week will be middle school. So I detailed all the dates in an email to your parents, so you can check that out, or just text me if you're confused. So we'll be meeting on Zoom instead of in person, and yeah, it'll be great. So today, one of the things I want to talk about is gratitude, and I think that this Thanksgiving probably looked a little bit different for you guys. Some of you may have been used to going and seeing certain family members, and maybe you had smaller groups. Maybe you were able to see family members. I think just overall it was a little bit different. So I think this year gratitude felt a little more important, where we might have realized some of the things that we take for granted, which is why today I want to talk about an attitude of gratitude and trying not to take that family time or just kind of any opportunity around us, not trying to take those things for granted. So living with an attitude of gratitude, what that means is that you live in a way that shows that you're always thankful for everything, both when life is good and when life is bad. So we're going to take a look at Luke 17 is actually where we want to dive in, because overall, I think in life there's just a lot of things that we can be grateful for. And we do take a lot of those things for granted. So sometimes we kind of forget that those things are there, and we forget to thank God for them. So that's something that happens in this story. There's a group of people that forget to thank Jesus for something that he's done. So right in this story, Jesus is traveling on his way to Jerusalem, and he came across a group of lepers. At this time, leprosy is a really tough disease, skin disease that just puts sores like all over your body. And it would spread and it would get worse until eventually someone would be in terrible pain, terrible disease. So if you had leprosy, you were an outcast in society because nobody else wanted to catch it from you. So they were considered, people who had leprosy were considered outcasts. And so it meant that you didn't get to be around your family or your friends, and you were completely just, shut out. So Jesus is passing through, and these lepers knew that he could actually heal them. So we're going to pick up in Luke 17. So if you've got your Bible, you can kind of follow along. Luke 17, verse 11 says that now on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus traveled along the border between Samaria and Galilee. As he was going into a village, 10 men who had leprosy met him. They stood at a distance and called out in a loud voice, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." When he saw them, he said, "Go, show yourselves to the priests," which was part of like the traditions. If you had leprosy and then you got rid of it, you had to go prove it to a priest. And as they went, they were cleansed. One of them, when he saw he was healed, came back praising God in a loud voice. He threw himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him, and he was a Samaritan. Jesus asked, "Were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Has no one returned to give praise to God except this foreigner?" Then he said to him, "Rise and go, your faith has made you well." Important point to keep in mind is that Samaritans were also kind of considered outsiders. They were Jews who had lived with and married and been a part of like other cultures. So they were kind of viewed negatively. And so these lepers, they get healed, but only 1 out of 10 comes back to thank Jesus. Jesus had healed them of this horrible disease and given them an opportunity to go back to their lives, their family, their friends. And it shows that like Jesus is like a little bit surprised here that 9 out of 10 did not come back and thank him. And really the point for today is to keep in mind that because of all that God's done for us, we should respond with gratitude. And the one that did return, that was gratitude, right? He realized what Jesus had done for him, and so he stopped everything he was doing, and he rushed back so he could fall at Jesus' feet and tell him thank you. And he was thankful because God changed his life, and we need to keep in mind that God has done so much for us, He loves us, He provides for us, He protects us, He guides us, and He sent Jesus to die for us. Like, that is a huge piece. And so I think a lot of times we forget to express our gratitude. So that's kind of what I want to encourage you to do today, is to be thankful and really think about all of the blessings that you have and all the blessings that God has given you, especially when we look at, COVID's really changed the way that we do things. COVID's changed the way that we can interact with others, but there's so much that we can be grateful for, and maybe realize that we used to take things for granted, overall, I think gratitude is a huge piece, something we should really keep in mind. I have been doing a couple things with my English students about happiness, and study after study after study shows that practicing gratitude actually leads to a happier life. Small things like, at the end of the day, writing down 3 things you were grateful for can actually improve your happiness overall, which is really cool. So not only is that, I think, a great way to remind ourselves of what God has given us and be able to thank Him for all that, but it can also lead overall to a better life just from being happier because we're grateful. So this Thanksgiving and going into the rest of the holiday season, things are going to be tricky. They're going to be different, but having that attitude of gratitude, I think, is really key. And so yeah, that's what I'm going to encourage you to do today, is to stay grateful. So. All right, that's it. High school, I will see you guys next week on Zoom at 9:30, and then not middle school, confirmation you'll be meeting at 10:30. And then the following Sunday, I will meet with middle school. There are 2 Sundays right around Christmas. I think it's the 20th and 27th. Those 2 Sundays we will do just like this, where there will be an online video, and we won't meet because I know there's all sorts of things with family and all that. So if you have questions about the schedule, let me know. But otherwise, I will see you guys on Zoom.